I would pick my flights strategically where I'd be able to look at the seat maps and be like, well, shit, there's 9 unoccupied seats in first class. Well, I'm going to be on the upgrade list. So for 7 or 8 years, I was leveraging my status and booking flights that were giving me the best chance at an upgrade.
I've never bought a first class flight. And so because I've never bought one, I'm curious, what is the multiple? So for me to go from economy to first class, is that a 4X multiple, a 2X multiple? What is it usually?
Well, so think about it like this, and this is my favorite way to use points. Yeah. I don't like to use points to fly economy or, stay at the Holiday Inn. I mean, I like to use points in scenarios where it's like, hey, how do I justify this extra cost? Like, I can fly in economy for $300, but first is $750. So, that points kind of pulls that price piece out of it. But I would say with first class, well, there's ways to get up there without necessarily paying cash. And that's where that elite status piece comes into play. So, if you are someone that's spending it on that $5,000 to $6,000 minimum and you're loyal to an airline, well, and I did this for years, all of my 20s, there's no way I was able to afford business class or first class.
So I can get elite status just using points. So I use my credit card points, I go just to Delta, and I use those, and I can get elite status, or do I have to spend cash with Delta?
There's some ways, but the primary way with earning elite status is, you flying with that airline. There's other little intricacies, like there's some ways where, spending on your credit card does count towards status. So there's ways to supplement it, but, the main function is, hey, if you're flying, choose your airline and be loyal. So all of my 20s, I was flying United. I had some work trips here in the mix, but every year I was hitting that, I was hitting like platinum levels. So not the top, but still kind of on that upper tier where.
How much are we spending for platinum?
It's obviously they increase the spend every single year. But back in that time, I was probably around 7,500, 8,000 a year, something like that.
Doable,
had some corporate work, travel that kind of helped bridge that gap. But I would pick my flights strategically where I'd be able to look at the seat maps and be like, well, shit, there's 9 unoccupied seats in first class. Well, I'm going to be on the upgrade list. So for 7 or 8 years, I was leveraging my status and booking flights that were giving me the best chance at an upgrade, where I'd probably say 70, 75%, 80% of the time, I'd be flying on an economy fare. I'm earning my credit card points. I'm earning my airline miles. 3 days before departure, wake up to that. It's my favorite text to wake up to is, congrats, you've been upgraded to.
So it's not something you ask for; they just give it to you.
It's literally they look
Amazing.
At the status, what fare class. So there's all these factors that go into it, but essentially, you look at that list 3 days before, you see the upgrade list, and sometimes that upgrade list is 40 or 50 people deep. Especially like now, it's kind of gotten harder with the complimentary ones, but having status helps you get up front at the economy price. And then, Eli and I kind of have the same thing where it's like, if it's more than a 2.5, mine's kind of like 3 hours. If it's more than a 3 hour flight, like I'm going to figure out a way to get up front in the most cost effective way possible. If it's, under 3 hours and I'm not going to pay triple the price to sit up front for, a 2 hour flight or if the scheduling. So there's different factors in it, but the easiest way to get up to first class is to be able to maximize your credit card points, to use that for that first class seat. Or if you are into that upper tier elite status, that gets you up front without the extra costs as well.
The best hotels, do you guys have is it a loyalty thing with the hotels as well?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Hyatt.
Okay.
Their program's amazing. Now, the thing that a lot of people don't fully recognize until they look into this is what brands are actually a part of the larger hotel portfolio. So like Marriott and Starwood had that like merger, really Marriott acquired them a few years back, right? So SPG had all of these amazing hotels like W, St. Regis. Those are now Marriott properties. And so just like a cool example to kind of tie the two together, when I first met my girlfriend 2 summers ago, I was in Europe for a month. I brought her out on a trip, right? I redeemed into a hotel with points, but because I have top status with Hyatt, which is called their globalist status, which you can get without staying a single night in a Hyatt hotel. You can get it just from credit card spend. So I could be spending money on my business to pay my employees or to, and there's ways to put payroll on cards and stuff like that. And I can get top status just from spending on the Hyatt credit card.
Who's giving you top status? Is it your credit card? It's not a Hyatt credit card.
It is a Hyatt credit card.
Oh, you have a separate card that's a Hyatt credit
yes.
card. Okay.
Yeah. That's after I kind of covered, okay, I have enough Chase and Amex points. Now I want to get into like specific, what we call co-branded cards. So this is a Hyatt card.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have top stats with them. So brought her out. I ended up using 130,000 Chase points, which normally if you go through Chase Travel is worth $1,300. Because I also have status, we got upgraded into this 2-bedroom villa in Sardinia in Italy. It was fucking awesome for 4 nights. It was a $13,000 hotel stay. And so instead of getting $1,300 out of those points, I got 13,000.
Yeah.
That's the power of status. It was an amazing room. You walk in, you got free breakfast, you get free upgrades. Sometimes you get on-site credits and all that sort of stuff. Early check-in and late checkout. So to me, Hyatt is the best points program. They have, out of the major 3 hotel portfolios between Hyatt, Hilton, and Marriott, they have the least number of properties. So that's a factor too. Like Marriott has the biggest footprint. So that's a big factor. But he has, we don't call him Tommy Lonergan. We call him Ambassador Elite Tommy Lonergan. Whenever he walks in, I'm like, oh, the ambassador here. It's the highest level with Marriott, and he's got that. So that's his brand.
Yeah.
They haven't put your name on the side of a hotel or side of a airplane yet?
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure they've got me on the wall somewhere.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But kind of with that elite status, we were talking about the airlines. You
Yeah.
know, is there value with the airline status? Yes. But with these hotel things, now the Hyatt is the best value play in terms of getting a ton of value for your points for accommodations. But I'm Marriott, but essentially when it comes to kind of that same concept of booking a standard room or booking an economy seat, it's like having that hotel status. I'm always booking a standard room, probably in between 200, 250 a night, whatever it is. But now showing up with my elite status, I'm in a suite every night. And I'm doing 300 nights a year in a hotel.
Yeah.
So if every single night that I step foot into a Marriott, I'm getting a room that's $500 more expensive than what it was over the course of 300 nights. I mean, we're looking at a huge amount of money here. With the hotel cards or with the hotel status, we kind of call these supplemental cards. Our core cards are the ones we're spending on. This next tier is kind of like supplemental, where you could have a Hilton card or a Marriott card that just by holding the card, you now have top tier elite status with the hotel. And even if you don't stay in a hotel, maybe you only do a couple weekends a year or 10 nights, just by having that card, all of a sudden you've got your status. Now we're talking upgrades, we're talking savings. There's breakfast. I've checked into hotels at 5 a.m. and they welcome me with open arms. So that piece there is, you're not worried about spending on that card per se, but having a card like that, it's going to heighten the travel experience. You're going to earn more points. You're going to save more money. So in terms of the status play, there's way more value to be had on the hotel side, and it is very easy to obtain compared to doing the airline stuff.